Welcome. I'm Ellen Lewis at Crazy for You, and this is Lunchtime Live. I do this every Tuesday. It's been kind of interesting lately. Started just kind of as a fun way to connect, and now we do it every week. I hope you enjoy it. 11:45 on Tuesdays, and I also wanted to say that since I've been doing the Wednesday evenings very regularly, I've been told that that is actually a podcast. So we will be calling our Wednesday evening event the Crazy for You podcast. So I hope that you will join me at those. Also, that's Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So today in Lunchtime Live, so what I typically do in Lunchtime Live is take your questions. And I had a question from lovely Karen last week about shoulder shaping. So a lot of you who make sweaters that are knitted in pieces, there is a requirement that the shoulder be angled, because if you think about our body, our shoulders are angled down like this. So what I wanted to show you what I'm talking about. So here's a little sketch. So this is actually a drop shoulder garment that has shoulder shaping. Okay, and this is your classic set-in sleeve garment that has shoulder shaping. So the shoulder is angled down from the edge of the shoulder up to the top, which is, how our bodies go. And this has always been a thing. You've always had shoulder shaping in this. Now with the drop shoulder, you haven't always had shoulder shaping. It used to be just right straight across. Everybody hear my dog? He's having a fit. Anyway, so with a drop shoulder garment, you don't typically have shoulder shaping. But what happens is without that shoulder shaping, you get a bit of bunchiness kind of right here. So the tendency or the technique, the trend has been to provide shoulder shaping in a drop shoulder garment. And it really does make it look nice. So how you typically do that shoulder shaping is at each side, you would bind off some stitches, right? You would bind off and you would work across, you would bind off and you would work across. And you would have these kind of stair steps, because you're binding off and working all the way across and then back so that you can bind off again. So there's actually 2 rows in between your bind off. And while there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it that way, it makes it a little more challenging when you do the other side to seam your shoulders. So Karen's question was, how do I avoid those stair steps? And there are a couple of techniques that you can use to eliminate that stair step. And the first one is really simple. It doesn't change the way that you're actually creating. It doesn't change the way you're actually creating the angle. You're still binding off, but the way in which you bind off is going to smooth that stair step. So I have a comment from Lori. Nice to know. Yeah, my dog definitely barks at the most inconvenient times, but you know what? He's a dog and I love him. So yes, my dog, Malcolm. If you don't know Malcolm is actually quite a little celebrity in his own right. He has his own Instagram account, Malcolm the Sheepadoodle. If you want to catch him there, he's actually really very cute. He's not as cute as some. I mean, there are lots of dogs with Instagram accounts on, and who knew? My goodness. But it's kind of fun to post pictures because the kids, my son Colton, who's in college, he's like, Mom, I miss Malcolm so much. Well, what about me and Dad? You miss me and Dad? Well, yeah, of course, but I miss Malcolm. My kids all miss the dog. So anyway, back to shoulder shaping. So one of the things that you can do is bind off your first set of stitches just normally. And then there are 2 ways to approach a smooth bind off. The first one is a Coconuts method, where she has you, when you're coming back, before you're going to do your next bind off, she has you slip the last stitch, okay? Slip it purlwise, and then turn it around and prepare to bind off and slip the next 2 stitches. So this last stitch here gets slipped actually twice. So you then have 2 slipped stitches on your right hand needle, and you're going to use those to do your bind off. And that definitely smooths that stair step away. So you just do that not on the first bind off, but on the second and all subsequent bind offs. And that gives you a very, very nice smooth bind off, which is much easier to seam when you're joining your shoulders. Since I've written all over that, let me find a new piece. The other way that you can do it is using short rows. So short rows, and it doesn't matter whether you use German short rows or wrap and turn short rows. The point is that instead of coming, so you wouldn't start your bind offs here. So normally you would bind off here, and then you would come across here. So what you would do instead, so actually you would be working these 2 sides separately. So rather than waiting to begin on your right side and let's see, and do a bind off, on the row previous to that, you would stop and you would do a short row, leaving these stitches on the needle. So let's say your pattern said something like ending with a wrong side row. With right side facing, bind off first 6 stitches, work to end of row. So instead of doing that, you would end with a right side row, and you would work to your last 6 stitches, wrap and turn, or work a German short row, or however, and then come back and work those remaining stitches. And then on your next wrong side row, you would leave the next set of stitches. Does that make sense? So that's a way to use short rows to smooth your shoulder. And that works because then you're not working all the way across. You don't have that little jump. And then on your last wrong side row, you would come across and you would pick up all of those wraps or German short rows. And then you would have a nice smooth bind off. So that is how you are going to smooth your stair step bind offs. And I have actually a little sweater piece right here. This is the front of a cardigan that I have not put together yet, but you can see that the shoulder shaping is done in 2 sets here, right? So it's nice and smooth, and it makes it much easier to seam up. So those are the kinds of little tricks that I think make finishing much easier. You know, I think part of the problem that we have with finishing sweaters, when I say finishing, I mean seaming, joining shoulders, whatever, it makes it more challenging if you don't prepare your fabric to be finished, right? So anyway, I hope that those are helpful. Hi, Gwen. Nice to see you. Did everybody get the newsletter this morning? I'm sorry for the link. That was a little bit messed up, but I sent out a second one. So if you're looking at the newsletters just for the first time, click on the one that says oops, because everybody makes mistakes. Oh my goodness. Did anybody have any questions or anything that I can answer right now? If you haven't seen the newsletter yet, I wanted to let you know that we have a super exciting opportunity with Tanis Gray. Tanis is one of the most wonderful and generous teachers I have ever had the privilege of having in the shop. She's a prolific designer, wonderful technician, a generous and gracious instructor. She's written a ton of books. I'm particularly fond of the Harry Potter books because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I mean, my kids kind of grew up with Harry Potter. And she's also done a wonderful book now from Star Wars. So that's very cool. Anyway, she is teaching illusion knitting, which is a very, very cool technique that looks super complicated and magical, but it's really just done with knits and purls. And it's almost like a secret little code. So she is teaching that class virtually on Saturday, September 17th. So I know a lot of you have asked in the past for the ability to participate in some of our extra special classes with guest instructors, but you live far away. So this is a wonderful opportunity to take a class like that you would have had the opportunity to take if you lived closer to Crazy for You. So I can't encourage you enough to look at Tanis's class. That's the illusion knitting class. It's on the website. Just do a search on illusion and the class will come up. It's a really, really excellent opportunity to learn from one of the best instructors, I think, out there. So, so there's that. Let's see, what else did I want to share with you today? Oh, as I said earlier, the Wednesday nights, I'm now rebranding them as a podcast. Let me know if you follow any podcasts, video podcasts, or iTunes kind of podcasts, if you have any suggestions for that and for how I can, spread the word, because I think it's really fun to do these. And I would love to be able to share with more people the insights and such on, the guests that we have from Rowan and from Noro and Skacel and all the different folks and designers. So if you have thoughts on that, I'm happy to hear, would love to know what you think. And as always, if you have a question or a concern that you would like me to address in one of our lunchtime lives, I would love to do that. So that's all I have for today. Now my dog is perfectly silent, of course. All right. Hi, Eveline. How are you? So Eveline's question, there was, so in the newsletter today, I said that I was doing the Mode at Rowan trunk show. And in order to prevent a huge number of people from descending on the shop all at once and to keep everybody safe and socially distant, I have set up some individual times for you to see the show so that there's a limited number of spaces and nobody is crowded around. So Eveline's question is, should I call and make an appointment? Yeah, you can absolutely call. You can email me and let me know when you would like to come and do that. I really hope that you do come and have a chance to see these beautiful garments in person. We have a couple that we've knitted ourselves that we're going to add to the trunk show. I'm working furiously on my soft boucle long sleeveless vest. It's beautiful. The yarn is lovely to work with. Oh, and that's what I'm doing in tomorrow's episode of the podcast, is I'm doing a review on the soft boucle. So I hope that you will join me for that. But if you are local and you would like to see the trunk show in person, do call or email me and make an appointment. I have lots of spaces available next weekend, which is when we're having them, not this weekend, but the following weekend. And they are just lovely. I think you will really enjoy seeing them. So there is that. Let's see what else we got. If you decide to take the Tanis class, Gwen, you can call the shop or you can purchase it online, whichever makes you more comfortable. I'll be in the shop today later on, and you can call. Ginny is there also, and we will set that up for you. And I have the book and I have kits for the project, and they're really, really nice. So I think you'll enjoy that. What else? Let's see. Yes, I am going to show the garments at one of the Facebook Lives. I will probably do that next Wednesday for folks who are not able to see it in person. I might try to broadcast from the shop to show the garments in person. I think that might be kind of fun. And I might invite a few folks to join me for, in person for that trunk show and maybe model the garments. Would that be fun? Yeah, I think that might be a lot of fun. Lori, I know you're local. Are you thinking you might be able to come and see the garments in person? I would love to have you. So anyway, like I said, that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow night on the podcast. That is when we are looking at the Rowan soft boucle, which is absolutely beautiful. All right, until then, see you soon.